Hey everybody, thanks for joining Close to Death. I'm your host, Lena Roan from Fear Paranormal. And before I bring my guest on, Maria Santos, tonight, I have a pretty big announcement that I want to make. Fear has teamed up with Light Paranormal to bring you two venues to investigate. They're both in Belton, Texas, which is about an hour north of Austin. One is the Wiedemeyer Academy, and the other is an old brothel called Miss Hattie's Place. Both of them seem to be extremely active. There's not been any disappointment in anybody that's been in there, so we're going to start opening that up for public investigation on March 1st. And if you need to get in there and check it out, you need to contact Fear or Will Light of Light Paranormal, and we'll hook you up. All right, now, that was my huge announcement. Got that out of the way, so let me bring on my guest, Maria Santos. Are you with us, Maria?
I'm here.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Starting my vacation.
Well, I'm so thrilled that you took an hour out of your vacation time to speak with us tonight. Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please, for those who don't know?
I am a psychic medium. I do what I explain to people is a lot of what I do is almost like a telephone booth to the other side. I have people, I do readings, I do galleries, I actually have a group of private clients that I do in Houston quite a bit, and I go to a lot of paranormal conferences. I also do what I call reading a house, and I'll go and tell them what they've got in their house and try to help them, deal with what's there if they need help with it. So I kind of work with paranormal investigators in that sense.
Okay. And you're on a team as well, right?
I assist with a couple of teams, so it's really neat. I assist with Woodlands Paranormal, I assist with East Texas Paranormal, and with Southern Paranormal Texas.
Wow.
Southern Paranormal Investigators.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I pretty much, I keep myself open, so if somebody needs some help with something, they can contact me and say, hey, I need to, can you come over and help me with this specific situation? And that way, I'm able to be utilized to a number of people.
Well, that's awesome. That's very cool. So when did you get started on your paranormal journey in this field?
Well, I was born 6 weeks early, and I was in an incubator for 3 weeks. During that time, I died and was revived a number of times. So as far as I can remember, as far back as I go, I've always seen people on the other side. My mother used to call them my imaginary friends. And she figured out later, well, actually, she just recently figured out maybe they weren't imaginary because I had specific names, places, how they dressed, all kinds of different things that came through. When I was 5, my great-grandmother came to me and told me to stop talking about it because they would send me away. My great-grandmother died when I was 2 and a half. She also only spoke Spanish, and I didn't understand Spanish at the time. But I understood her and what she had to tell me. So I kind of kept quiet. Still seeing everybody, but just keep quiet about the situation because they were going to take me away. Now, I never understood that until actually a couple of years ago. David Roundtree was doing a lecture, and he said, well, you know why people in the psychic community had to be quiet for a while? Because of the spiritualist movement, when some people said that they were faking it, and this and that, it kind of made the people who were psychic, they would put them away. They would actually put them in asylums. So I didn't know this, but apparently that was around my great-grandmother's time when she was alive. And so she was just trying to help. But I used to give readings to friends. I would tell people things, and I didn't know why. Sometimes things would just pop out of my mouth, and I was like, okay, I don't know why I said that, but there you go. And it was kind of like I would do readings, and I worked in the medical field in high school. So I walk into a hospital and seeing all kinds of things come by and saying, "Hey, she sees me. Hold it. Can you tell this person?" And it was just crazy. So I had to get out of the medical field because it was a little bit difficult for me.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and I ended up working as an adult for an airline, so I got to travel all over the world. Well, traveling all the world is great, except for the fact that when something sees you on the other side, they go, hey, you see me, can you tell someone? You're still getting it. No matter where you are, I don't care what it is. And I would do, like I said, little readings here and there. Back to when I was 5, I almost drowned. I remember seeing myself over the water. So I remember that, and that's when I felt it get a little stronger. And that's when she told me to be quiet. Going back, further down, when I was 42, I had a major stroke. I was at home. I remember starting to cross over. I remember my dad coming. My dad died a few years before that. And he started walking me towards this group of people. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, came to him and said, no, it's not her time yet. You need to let her take her back. And he was like, what? Take her back. So he took me back. And I woke up, and it was a couple hours later. And this ended up happening where I could not speak, I could not walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't feed myself. And I went from that type of extreme to being out of a wheelchair, out of a walker, out of a cane. And for the most part, people can't really tell. But at that point, things got so strong, I decided I can't hold back, and this must be what God has me planned, to come out and help people. So that's kind of, how I started doing it more and more. Well, I went to a paranormal conference, and a friend of mine that I met there, Christopher St. Booth, I kind of touched his hand, and I did a reading on it. I didn't mean to, it just kind of, and sometimes that's what would happen. I mean, I'd be in like a grocery store, and I'd say something. I so love the Long Island medium because that's so my life.
I was fixing to say, that sounds like Teresa Caputo. Her husband can't take her anywhere.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. I mean, and something will pop out, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, but, and you don't mean to sometimes. Sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes you can actually stop it, and then you have to tell them. But Chris, when I met him, he said, oh, my goodness. He goes, I want you to come talk to this person. He literally, the night of this ghost show, it was a Texas ghost show, he had me do 34 cold readings. Walk up to somebody, touch their hand, and boom, this is what I was saying. And every single person said I was dead on.
Wow.
So I thought, you know what, instead of ignoring it and only doing it for certain private people and stuff, let me start really helping people. And in doing that, I started wondering, how many other parents are out there that have children that are psychics?
Right.
I knew, as young as 8 or 10, that I wanted to commit suicide because I thought I was an alien. And it was really difficult. And so that's another reason why I think God brought me back, is to help children realize that they're not alone. And adults help their children with this.
Kind of like what Chip was doing with Psychic Kids, trying to help them,
more comfortable.
Feel comfortable with their own selves and their abilities, and to actually learn how to tame their abilities to where they're not scared to death of them.
Right.
And I know that kids...
I remember being in kindergarten and having that happen. I mean, I saw a kid that was kind of playing by himself. It was one of my classmates. And I saw his grandpa trying to hug him.
Wow.
And I knew, for whatever reason, that he had just died.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't tell this kid that. What do you tell a kid?
Right.
So I think with more and more being out there, like I said, the kids, allowing them to know what their gifts are, allowing them to really focus on it. And even adults. I mean, I've had adults tell me, you know, I see this, or what is this called, or how do I know? And that's another thing that I had said was, I was starting to do lectures on, you know, so I think I'm psychic, what do I do now?
Right.
So it's kind of like, you know, really helping people to open up and realize. I mean, people who, when I go into a house and read a house, I've taught people how to feel, you know, see if they feel anything and how to feel it and see how things come out. You know, some people can hear, some people can taste, you know, it's everything.
Right, the clear audio and all that stuff. I don't I don't know the labels for all that, but I know exactly what they mean. But I just went to a psychic myself that my aunt paid for and was told that I am an empath, which I kind of knew that. And
yeah, we all know you're an empath.
Well, let me tell you, it was kind of crazy because she also said that I had mediumship abilities, and I'm like, okay. And she goes, did you have some sort of something happen to you when you were a kid and it freaked you out and you cut your abilities off? And I go, yeah. Prophetic dreams do that to you when they affect someone that you knew and you figure that your dream caused them to die. So, you know, when you're young, it scares you, and I completely shut it off. And I mean, I haven't had any dreams in forever until I went to the psychic, and she gave me this prayer to say to try to help open me up.
She gave you the opportunity to open yourself back up. Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually, she said, first off, we need to get that. She said I had a fortress around me made of, like, it wasn't a shield, it was a freaking fortress, and that we had to learn how to. Like a guy, if I went into Walmart, like I know how you feel about walking into a big place where a lot of people are, and you can feel that guy is pissed off, or that lady's had a crappy day, or that lady over there is ready to kill herself, and you're feeling all this crap, and you know, I have to learn how to feel my stuff and not their stuff.
And that's the hardest thing with being an empath, and for children it's even worse.
I'm sure
children are so open.
Yeah.
And you know, teaching them how to be open and how to know when to shut down and not, you know, completely be bonkers.
Right.
And I know my mother used to say God was full of crap about, you know, my psychic abilities, but yet she started thinking about it. She's always been a precog. She's always had the dreams.
Right.
And she knows that. She would write them down. She would normally she tells me. She's like, I don't know what this means. I said, well, just wait. Let's work this out.
Right.
You know, and we would go through, even when I was a teenager. And so now she's kind of believing, you know, she's starting to open up herself and realize that some of these things are happening. I also saw auras, and it's just something that we were never trained at. You know, this was never trained for kids. They get scared, they get upset. But if they know that they're not the only one, then they know that it's not something to be worried about.
Right. Well, my mom had abilities to where she, and I think my grandmother did as well, because I have a lot of American Indian heritage in my gene pool, and they were, you know, of course we had believed in spirits and stuff like that, and my mom could tell somebody, you're pregnant and you're going to have a boy or a girl. My dreams were a little bit different than my mom's, and to where they were detailed, but not so detailed that if I did say something to somebody, which I would never, because like you said, they would think I was nuts, to where I couldn't prevent things from happening, but I saw them, I would dream them, and then 2 weeks later or whatever, they would be on TV, and I'd be like, oh my God. And you know, after the one where my dad's best friend died in a car accident that I dreamed at the same time, that's what did it in for me, and I think that's when I shut down. The one about the plane crash that happened after that was a little bit different, but I haven't really had anything until I started doing this prayer from that psychic, and I was wondering, do you have any more advice for an empath like myself that's just now trying to open up and decipher what's going on?
Well, you automatically have it. If you notice when you leave a place like Walmart You're so tired. You feel overwhelmed a lot of times when you're around crowds.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of, for your own sake, trying to say, okay, this isn't me. This isn't me. But you're constantly, and this is subconsciously you're doing it, constantly looking, okay, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? And it's not because of you, it's because you're trying to fix it.
Right.
Because I explain to people all the time that empaths feel all the sadness of the world.
Yes.
We feel very little of the happiness.
Mm-hmm.
The happiness you get to keep, they get to keep, but we don't get that. We get, we hear the heavy sighs, we hear the tears, we hear the anxiety, and it's really hard. If you ever seen a little kid that will automatically look at you and know you're sad and start crying, I mean, that's an empath.
Yeah.
And this is what you did when you were little, that you were afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that your mom did anything wrong. You didn't know what to say about it.
Right.
We're just now, with television and stuff, able to bring that out in people. But even then, I mean, I have a niece that I feel is very empathic, but she also sees. And her mom and dad just do not believe it. And so she has to be real quiet about it and tell me about it. Because I listen to her.
Well, at least she has you, though.
Yeah, well, at least she has somebody to talk to.
Right.
I didn't have anybody, but I didn't talk about it. And you always knew somebody who did that. But, I mean, I remember people saying, oh, she's witchy.
Yeah.
Like, because she knew,
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I don't know where it comes from with me. It just comes out of my mouth. It's something, just as we're talking now, it's just something that straight comes into your head and you just speak about it.
Right.
The hardest thing with me is I always felt like people would say, how do you know so much about me? I didn't. Somebody else is telling me. I went on a walking tour in New Orleans one time. And I was, those ghost tours and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm standing next, yes. Hello?
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 You there?
Hello?
Yes. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there you are.
Okay.
No, I mean, I was in New Orleans one time doing a ghost walking tour.
Right.
And I told this was way before internet. I told the woman, oh no, this is wrong. She broke this leg, or this person did this, or this person did that. I hadn't researched it, I just was saying it. So the woman kind of looked at me, she was really interested in finding out. So she wrote to me and told me that the things I told her were correct, but she was wrong in what they were being told, they were trained to say. And I thought, wow, that's kind of weird. Why would I know that? And I did. I don't know why I knew it. But we even walked to places, and I could, she would say, what do you see over there? And I would tell her what I felt or what I saw, and, the opera house, how it was, everything was burning and stuff. I would get bruises. Now, one of the things with empath is I try my hardest not to get bruised anymore. But I used to, if you show me a picture of somebody who's been murdered, I can tell you how they were murdered because I can see it. I can feel it. I can taste it.
Ooh.
I smell the person's breath.
Oh, dang.
Everything.
Sometimes that's not good.
Tell me about it.
Oh, my God. That I wouldn't want. An empath is enough for me, I think. But just learning, that it kind of made sense when she told me. First, she told me that my mom and Kenny walked in with me, which was a freaking trip. And then she tells me that I'm an empath, and that's kind of what she kind of focused on, was my empath abilities. And it kind of made sense because, like you, she was hitting it head on, like you were a kid and something happened with your abilities that freaked you out and you stopped them and blah, blah, blah. And then when she was telling me about being an empath and about how I can't get any good, positive in for me because I'm taking on everybody else's crap. and that's the hardest thing for me to try to differentiate. But when I go to a location, like you said, even a investigation, there's been times where I couldn't understand why I felt perfectly fine going in, and then I would be in there investigating, and something just hit me, and I would be pissed off. Or like at Villisca Axe Murder House, something took over my emotions at that place, and I got really mad and started confronting a shadow person in the closet, asking him how could he do that to the kids, and how cowardly that was. And I mean, it just took over, and I don't know where it came from. I mean, yeah, I'm a mom and everything, and that kind of mama bear comes out, but it just hit me out of the blue, and I mean, I went off. And then there's times in investigations where I've gotten sick,
Yeah, you became the victim. You became the victim to argue with the assailant.
Huh?
And
to freak the people out I was with, let me tell you.
Yeah, you were their voice for them. And sometimes that happens. Like I said, sometimes it happens that you realize that you are there at that time.
Yeah.
We just have to, I always have to think, okay, because I tell people a lot of what I see, if I see things in front of me, what I see is kind of like, if you watch a show, watched a movie, and you're looking at television, I mean, you're trying to describe that movie to somebody.
Right.
You see it in your mind, in your mind's eye, and so you're explaining it out. But sometimes we become that movie. We're like really into it, and we just have to remind ourselves, I'm not here for that.
Right.
I'm here to take it in, but I'm not that person, and I'm not that. When I start feeling an uncomfortable migraine coming on that I know is not a migraine, I can actually feel like it's almost not me. So I have to remind myself, not you, just mentally. But it's hard because a lot of times it catches you off guard.
Right. Very much so.
And that's hard. I mean, I used to talk. I actually, one time in my life, channeled something, and I won't ever do it again. I was like 13. We were doing a seance, and I actually had one of my girlfriends, her uncle's voice come through my mouth.
Oh,
and
my God.
I smelled like, I smelled like him. I described it. I smelled my breath like him. I could feel like just my body wasn't my body. And when I got done, I described everything to her, and I said, I don't ever want to feel that again.
Ooh, yeah.
When people tell me something about channeling, I said, no. I know I don't want to do that. It's difficult. I mean, an empath, like say for you, an empath, if somebody's crying in the other room, you know it. If your kid had a bad day at school, you know it.
Wow.
And part of that is just because they're close, but I mean, a lot of times it's just anything. We know it. We get that. We get that energy that comes to us. And an empath is almost like a magnet of that excess energy.
Yeah. Well, it definitely lets me pick up all the sadness and anger and all that. I mean, I rarely, like you said, pick up any happy feelings from anybody else. So I think that's what I'll make my own.
And a lot of times you just have to say, not me, and just sell it. That was a lot of what I kept saying, is I kept I kept trying to imagine that this stuff was a cloud, and I just needed to let it go. Let it go through the energy. But I mean, I used to come back from some stuff when I was really first kind of trying to feel out my energies. I would come back and I would be so mad at something, and I would go grab a tree. People laugh at me, but trees can take that excess energy. And I would just go shove all that energy into a tree and let it go down in the ground. I think, I mean, I still do that to a point. But I mean, the last time I did that, my mom just went, okay, she must have had a bad day. She used to be a lot better. But I mean, it used to be, she'd look at me like I had lost my mind. And I did. When I was a kid, I thought I'd ask her if I was adopted. She's like, why? Because I didn't see anybody else seeing what I saw.
Right.
I didn't feel like anybody else felt what I felt.
A square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
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 Well, so we got a question from the chat room real quick. And it is, what do you feel about provoking?
I don't provoke. I think that if you're going to walk into a place that is not your home, this is not your building, and you're yelling at somebody, you come in with anger, you come in with, how would you feel?
Yeah, I'd come at you with anger back.
Yeah, I treat things on the other side, places that I go to, the same way that I want to be treated in my own home. With respect, with kindness. I'm not there to make things happen.
Right.
I'm there to let things happen.
There you go.
So
there you go.
You know, all these shows where these men are screaming and yelling out and all that. Oh yeah, you can piss somebody off, and I don't want to be near that pissed off person. On this side or the other.
True that. I've been around one of those before, a couple of them actually. And yeah, they get results, but maybe not the ones we want.
Right.
So what do you think about past lives? I want your take on that.
A lot of people, you know, everybody thinks they're Cleopatra. I want to know who was the person who cleaned the chamber pot. You know, did those people not have another life? Because you would think, if I was the person who cleaned the chamber pots, the next time I'd want to be Marie Antoinette. You know?
Right.
But everybody wants to be somebody famous.
Right.
I don't know that I was somebody famous. I don't always see past lives. I don't try to.
Okay.
But sometimes it just comes out, and I'll say blah, 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 blah about, you know, this lady from the 1920s. And I'll have people say, I used to have dreams about this outfit and blah, 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 you know, and they would confirm what I had done. But I would tell them to go look it up, and sometimes they would find pictures of what I told them. And so I don't try past lives, but there are times that I've gone and I'm able to tell this person, you've had this past life with this other person. It just depends on what I get. There are some stuff, but like I said, most people are just normal people. And some people, I don't know if they have past lives. I don't feel it.
Huh.
But I have friends who say, oh, my next life, I want to be a bird. Well, I've never seen somebody who says the past life was a bird.
Yeah, I think in my past life, and I'm not sure what, or if I was female or male or what, but for some reason, and this has been my whole entire life too, since I was a little bitty kid, I've been drawn to the JFK era. Now, I was born in 68, and he was assassinated in, 62, 63? Yeah, and so there's 5 years there, so I don't know if something, I know that I didn't, what I'm trying to say is I think that I was some sort of in that era with, that had to do with freeing people and the moon and just, you know, the walk on the moon. Everything in that era of JFK I've always been completely drawn to. And like I've had deja vu things and I've been like, whoa, like I was in that era. And I don't know how that all plays into the thing. I was going to have Dakota try to help me figure that out. Because he does do past life readings, and you know, he said he would help me, so I was like, I just feel that such a connection with that era. It's just weird. So I kind of want to know if there's anything else.
I mean, I've got other towns and actually walked around. I can walk around New Orleans since the first time I walked around there and know exactly where everything was, where streets were and stuff. I walked through London and had no problem walking through there and knowing where to go and how to, you know, oh, and this building will be over here and blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming these are from past lives. I don't know that, but I'm assuming, because why would I know this?
Yeah.
You feel like that deja vu thing.
Yeah.
And I think that there are people that, you know, I don't know how to explain to people, you know, oh, well, this time you come as a baby, or how many years you have to be, you know, you have to be in heaven before you come back, or if you don't, maybe some people don't come. I don't know. And that's the thing is, I have to wait for it to come to me, for me to, I pretty much allow myself to be a vessel, to be told.
Okay. That makes sense, because it's real hard to know, but like when I went to the Phantom Fest last October, it wasn't that far back. When I was in the Minger Hotel, the minute I walked through the doors, and trust me, I have never ever been to that place in my this life. That's why I want to say this life. I've never been there. And I walked in, and it's just like it was in the 30s. I mean, it's just the music that was playing, and it was like I had been there before. Like I knew this place, and I was like, this is so strange. And then after Phantom Fest was over, and we were fixing to go to the Chip and I were going to dinner, and I was walking to my room to change, and I get right around this circle thing they have on the second floor, and something just like, I don't know if it came into me or went through me, but I got this real cold to the bone chill, hair standing up everywhere, and it just kind of like a pressure on my chest. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but I'm going to my room, and you can't go in my room. That's my space. So I went in the room and I changed, and when I was coming out to go to dinner and I opened the door, this huge green, I don't know, like a light went right by the door. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. So I looked, and I thought there were kids out there playing with those like laser pointers, and there was nobody in the hallway. And so I shut the door, and I was trying to debunk it, trying to see if maybe the light from the lamp may have caused it, but I couldn't figure it out. And it was just the weirdest feeling in that hotel, was that I had been there before, that it felt familiar to me.
There's a lot of activity there.
Do what?
A lot of activity, a lot of residual activity. People still, salesmen still going with their boxes of stuff to the rooms. People still having affairs. There's still a lot of activities back and forth.
Yeah.
And those activities is what you're feeling, all that energy. And when you felt like something, like a cold spot type thing, something came through you, that was a residual.
Okay.
That was walking through. They were still doing their job. They're still doing their thing. Kind of like what they talk about at the Winchester House, where things are still, people are still doing things. They're still, working on their projects. Right.
Well, and like they say, when spirits walk through walls, okay, like at the Wiedemeyer Academy, the venue that we have now, it's been changed. The layout of the house has been changed 3 times. And there's been apparitions that you see walk through the walls. Well, that's because maybe when they were alive, that wall wasn't there.
Right.
That's why you see a lot of people reporting it just disappeared into the wall. Well, probably when they were alive, that wall wasn't there, and they were just doing their same path every freaking day, and you just happen to see it. And that's something that I've been waiting for. I was also wanting to ask you what your opinions on doppelgangers are, because that is one of the biggest reasons that has kind of catapulted my love of the paranormal, was seeing my best friend's doppelganger, and I wanted to know your thoughts on the doppelganger.
I've been told about doppelgangers. I've actually seen something, but it was almost as if, and it was kind of weird. I saw one of my best friends, but I couldn't have seen her because I was in another country.
Right.
You can't miss a 6-foot-tall redhead female. And so, but she had weird eyes compared to what I was used to. This was my best friend from high school, so I should know what she looks like.
Right.
And it was just odd. It was almost as if she was her, but not her.
Right.
So I believe in them. I don't know how they do what they do, but I have seen them. I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
And I know that they kind of freak me out, so I try not to look at them.
Yeah, that's what it did to me, because my best friend was never a strange guy to where he would come like where I would be sleeping and stand in the door and just stand there and stare at me. And this image of him did that. And I was like, okay, maybe he took too much morphine because, I was taking care of him before he passed away of lung cancer. And I'd already given him his medicine and everything like that. So I knew he was upstairs asleep or was supposed to be close to sleep. And then when I'm down there on the phone in my room and the door opens and I see his figure, I couldn't see his face though. That's the only thing that was weird. I could see his gray hair. I could see his gray sweatshirt, his gray sweatpants, even his socks. But there was a light coming in from the street, and so I couldn't really see his face clearly. And I was like, Kenny, are you okay? And it didn't say anything, of course. And I said, dude, are you okay? And it just slowly, it was like leaning into the doorway, and it just slowly turned and walked away. And I jumped immediately up to run after what I thought was my best friend. And there was nothing there. And I was shooken up pretty bad when I went up to check on him. And he's up there without a shirt on, halfway asleep. And the man could not, there's no way in the world that he could have gotten upstairs that fast and took his shirt off and sat down because he couldn't breathe. I mean, he couldn't walk that far, that fast. And so it's like, I couldn't believe it. And he knew something was up by the look on my face and how white as a sheet I was because I was so freaked out. I mean, and I've never been able to explain anything but that, 2 days later he goes in the hospital and he never comes out. And I've always heard that doppelgangers are kind of like your spirit or your image in spirit form, a duplicate image of you, and if you see it, that's it. That's it. It's bad stuff. And I was so worried about him seeing it. He didn't see it, but I did. But obviously, it's kind of like I think they're almost like a type of grim reaper, Once you see it.
I think what he was more was his soul. His psychic energy checking on you.
Huh.
Because he was concerned about your situation and how you were going to deal with his death.
Yeah, it hadn't been easy. It hadn't been easy.
And the thing was is that he felt like he was a burden on you, because it didn't have to be your job.
Huh.
And he felt like he wanted to make sure you were going to be okay. I know that, and you are able to do this, is kind of, have you ever really concentrated and actually felt like, or been asleep, half asleep or you think you're asleep, and dreamed that you were around a friend of yours at their house?
Yep.
Because you can do that. Okay. That's kind of what he did.
Okay. He wanted to come downstairs and couldn't.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, we do have one question in the chat room real quick. I don't mean to change tune, but we have a chat room listener, Southern Breeze 31, that wanted to know if there was anyone coming into her life soon romantically.
I don't see anybody in the next. I'm seeing her shut off to something. She's got, okay, your fortress? She's pretty close to that fortress.
Uh-huh.
And I use the term snow globe. You know how you can see a snow globe and you can see everything inside?
Right.
You can't touch it?
Right.
She's in that snow globe. She can see everything outside, but nothing can touch her and she can't touch it. She's got to break down that barrier and allow herself to be open to other people.
Okay.
And until she's open to other people, she's not going to make it as far as getting a good relationship.
Okay. Does that help you, Southern Breeze? I hope so. She might be contacting you for a reading, Maria.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on the Ouija board?
I used it when I was younger, and the only time that it really freaked me out was when it started moving by itself.
I guess we are. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what happened. We good, Eric?
You need to restart your
We're
camera,
here?
Selena.
Oh, hold
Restart
on.
it, Maria.
Yeah, I'm here. He's restarting stuff.
Okay.
But go ahead, Maria. You used one when you were younger.
Oh yeah, and it started moving by itself.
Oh my God.
And I decided that, oh, we're going to leave it alone. I still own that Ouija board. Actually, it was a girlfriend of mine's mother. And every
Okay.
time they would move, she would try to throw it away. And it would show up at their house. So I ended up keeping it.
Really?
And it's in a velvet bag in a box, in a wooden box.
So you don't mess
I-
with them more than likely then?
No, I understand that they're just another way of speaking, but since I'm here, I don't really see them. I don't know that I feel like they're too open a chamber.
Right?
Then, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
open up to other things that we don't even want to talk about.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, some people say it's just normal. It's like I said, it's not my deal. I'm more, it makes me feel like it's not quite what I'm comfortable dealing with.
Okay. Yeah, I got a one given to me. It made me feel kind of obligated to take it because the guy was in tears saying it belonged to his mom. And so I take it, and I felt really weird about it. Something just told me that something wasn't right with it. So I didn't take it in my house or my garage or anywhere. I just kind of left it in this tub outside until I talked with a couple of friends of mine. That one is a reverend and the other's a demonologist. And I said, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Because after like 2 weeks of me having it here at the house in that tub, my friend that gave it to me happened to tell me that he used it in a pagan ritual or some kind of ritual under a blood red moon or something. And I'm like, really? Why would you give me that? You know, there's no telling what the hell's attached to that thing.
Yeah.
And so I had to have it destroyed, and I did it the right way by having a reverend and a demonologist and them do it the only way we knew how to do it, or they knew how to do it, because I didn't want to deal with it at all. But I wanted it gone, and so it is gone. And they assured me that everything that was attached to it is completely gone. And you know, I just won't mess with them. I've heard so many bad things, and people say, well, EVPs are the same way. No, they're not. I don't see how they can be. But my belief system is the Ouija board is kind of like a portal that you don't know what you're going to open up.
Well, and that's, if you think about it, so are we as psychics.
True.
You know, we don't know what's going to show up. But it's just a matter of how we deal with it. Some people, the problem is that most people who get into Ouija boards are trying to do it, they're not quite ready to close anything that needs to be closed. So it's kind of difficult, you know?
Right.
I don't, you know, like I said, I'm pretty much able to close myself off or say, hey, I'm done, you know, it's sleep now. And sometimes they just leave on their own, but with a Ouija board, I wouldn't know how to close that.
Right.
Like I said, the time that it was moving, I was done. I'm a big chicken when it comes to things. I mean, I can be somewhere and everything works well, and I, you know, have no problem, and I'm very confident. And if something starts talking or starts biting me or something, I'm not real happy.
Right.
I'm not one of those that likes to be bitten. Because
no, I don't ask them to scratch me or anything like that, like some folks do. I'm like, no, please don't touch me. I mean, I'd rather you not. If you feel you must, just don't hurt me. Because I'm not there to hurt them. So, about the events that we're going to be at this because we're fixing to have to close down the show. I wanted to talk about the events that we're going to be at, or that you're going to be at, actually. A couple of them we may be together. I know the Tyler Paracon we're going to be together.
Yes, in April 26th.
Yes, it's going to be so much fun. And then where else are you going to be, though?
Before that, in March, I'm going to be in the last weekend of March in Amarillo.
Yep.
And there's a Paracon there. The Haunted Entertainment is doing that one. And then I'm hoping this summer to take off most of the time to be with my nieces. But I've been talking to different people about it, going to Louisville and things like that, possibly back to Florida. So it's just kind of depending on where everything, lands me.
Okay.
I try to stay open, and especially if I can share my, the things about the child psychics and stuff, and if I can really help people find closure. Closure's a big thing with me, A lot of times people can't find that closure.
True.
And to at least hear in their words the way they're saying things, it seems to help them a lot.
Cool. Well, how can they get a hold of you if they want a reading?
Maria's Magic. If y'all can type that on there, they can email me, and we can work out a thing. I do Skype. I do personal ones. I do, like I said, I do galleries, a little bit of everything. And actually, I didn't even think about it, but I do galleries, and I just don't even call them that. I've actually gone to people's houses and done like
parties,
6 or 7 in a row, right there in front of everybody. Yeah, like a party.
Cool.
And people who, there for a while we were doing I did one where I needed to know what those people had in common. I was like, oh, this is fun.
That is cool.
Not only did I need to know not only did I do the readings, but I had to, I was able to tell them what they all had in common. It wasn't, they were coworkers, but that wasn't what they had in common. And then when when I said it, they were like, yeah.
Well, Maria, I thank you so much for being on my show tonight, and you are so awesome. I need you to now go and relax and enjoy your view in Galveston and your vacation.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. If you need anything, just call. All right. Take care now.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was Maria Santos. There's information to get on her Facebook page if you want to get a reading from her. If you want to look up Fear Paranormal for any of the Wiedemeyer and the Miss Hattie's Place events or see anything else we're doing, just get on Fear Paranormal Society Facebook page. Give us a like. You can get on Close to Death Facebook page as well. We have a website, Fear Paranormal, at wix.com/fear-1. And Fear is going to be helping host the coffee talk for Chip Coffee in April the 5th in Little Rock, Arkansas. I've got tickets on our events, on our website on the events tab if you want coffee talk tickets. We have History Haunts and Legends that Fear is also going to help with the investigation. I'm going to be speaking at History Haunts and Legends on April 12th. Then the next one is Tyler, which is the Tyler Paracon, where me and Maria both will be speaking, and that's the 26th. We have Granbury Paranormal Expo, which is May 17th coming up, and the awesome Phantom Fest that I cannot freaking wait for in September, the 27th. I'll be helping lead the investigations there. I want to thank my sponsors, Syntex Roof Systems, Flanagan's Party Barn, and Able Towing. Check all those out. They're really good peeps. They got a lot of things going on that you'd be interested in. Next week, Lisa Martin will be on, host of PSL, Paranormal Science Lab, and author, paranormal investigator. So be sure and join us next week, 7 o'clock. Thanks.
So I walk into a hospital and seeing all kinds of things come by and say, hey, did you see anything? Hold it. Can you tell this person? And, it was just crazy. So I had to get out of the medical field because it was a little bit difficult for me.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and I ended up working as an adult for an airline, so I got to travel all over the world. Well, traveling all over the world is great, except for the fact that when something sees you on the other side, they go, hey, you see me, can you tell someone? So you're still getting it. No matter where you are, I don't care what it is. And I would do, like I said, little readings here and there. Back to when I was 5, I almost drowned. I remember seeing myself over the water. So I remember that, and that's when I felt it get a little stronger. and that's when she told me to be quiet. When I going back, further down, when I was 42, I had major stroke. I was at home. I remember starting to cross over. I remember my dad coming. My dad died a few years before that. And he started walking me towards this group of people. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, came to him and said, no, it's not her time yet. You need to let her take her back. And he was like, what? And he said, take her back. So he took me back. And I woke up, and it was a couple hours later. And this ended up a group of private clients that I do in Houston quite a bit, and I go to a lot of paranormal conferences. I also do what I call reading a house, and I'll go and tell them what they've got in their house and try to help them, deal with what's there if they need help with it. So I kind of work with paranormal investigators in that sense.
Okay. And you're on a team as well, right?
I assist with a couple of teams, so it's really neat. I assist with Woodlands Paranormal, I assist with East Texas Paranormal, and with Southern Paranormal Texas.
Wow.
Southern Paranormal Investigators.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I pretty much, I keep myself open, so if somebody needs some help with something, they can contact me and say, hey, I need to, can you come over and help me with this specific situation? And that way, I'm able to be utilized to a number of people.
Well, that's awesome. That's very cool. So when did you get started on your paranormal journey in this field?
Well, I was born 6 weeks early, and I was in an incubator for 3 weeks. During that time, I died and was revived a number of times. So as far as I can remember, as far back as I go, I've always seen people on the other side. My mother used to...
Hey everybody, thanks for joining Close to Death. I'm your host, Lena Roan from Fear Paranormal. And before I bring my guest on, Maria Santos, tonight, I have a pretty big announcement that I want to make. Fear has teamed up with Light Paranormal to bring you 2 venues to investigate. They're both in Belton, Texas, which is about an hour north of Austin. One is the Wiedemeyer Academy, and the other is an old brothel called Miss Hattie's Place. Both of them seem to be extremely active. There's not been any disappointment in anybody that's been in there, so we're going to start opening that up for public investigation on March 1st. And if you need to get in there and check it out, you need to contact Fear or Will Light of Light Paranormal, and we'll hook you up. All right, now, that was my huge announcement. Got that out of the way, so let me bring on my guest, Maria Santos. Are you with us, Maria?
I'm here.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Starting my vacation.
Well, I'm so thrilled that you took an hour out of your vacation time to speak with us tonight. Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please, for those who don't know?
I am a psychic medium. I do what I explain to people is a lot of what I do is almost like a telephone booth to the other side. I have people. I do readings. I do galleries. I actually have what you call them my imaginary friends. And she figured out later. Well, actually, she just recently figured out maybe they weren't imaginary because I had specific names, places, how they dress, all kinds of different things that came through. When I was 5, my great-grandmother came to me and told me to stop talking about it because it would send me away. My great-grandmother died when I was 2.5. She also only spoke Spanish, and I didn't understand Spanish at the time. But I understood her and what she had to tell me. So I kind of kept quiet. Still seeing everybody, but just keeping quiet about the situation because they were going to take me away. Now, I never understood that until actually a couple of years ago. David Roundtree was doing a lecture, and he said, well, you know why people in the psychic community had to be quiet for a while? Because of the spiritualist movement, when some people said that they were faking it, and this and that, it kind of made the people who were psychic, they would put them away. They would actually put them in asylums. So I didn't know this, but apparently that was around my great-grandmother's time when she was alive. And so she was just trying to help. But I used to give readings to friends. I would tell people things, and I didn't know why. You know, sometimes things would just pop out of my mouth, and I was like, okay, I don't know why I said that, but there you go. And it was kind of like I would do readings, and I worked in the medical field in high school.